these are rests. Use more rests. You know, I'm going to put a big fat rest here, and then you don't play anything. There you go. You know, I mean, just force yourself to use it as a tool. You know, that's what it is. Space is quantifiable, just like, you know, 8th notes and 16th notes are, and like when you write out music, you have to account for all the space. So I would just say it's something that you really need to learn how to use, because it's an element, you know, and it's like where things are placed in time is everything about the impact of what the phrase is. You know, it's all about learning how to deal with space, learning how to keep the form without playing. First of all, is a big thing for people to just kind of follow the thread of the form, and yeah, it's all about that. Just try to do more of it. Try to use space like it's a thing that you're, you know, using more of. If you can quantify nothing as something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously great music that's spacious and great music that's very dense, but this might go back to the question that came a little bit before about music that's happening today. Well, maybe I don't hear as much space. That's one thing. I hear a lot of shredding. Like a lot, you know, there's a tendency for everybody to want to shred and do all the stuff on their instruments, go, you know, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, guys that are gonna play a single stroke roll with like one amp, and you know, that doesn't really do it for me musically as a listener. You know, first of all. So I tend to like music that has more space in it. You know. But as a drummer, I have a choice a lot of times, you know, to fill it up or leave it in terms of space. Like if I just, for instance, if it's a tune and I just mostly lay out the cymbal and I don't play a whole lot of, then I'm leaving a lot of space. If I'm playing a lot of chatter, that's less space. But the choice might make the music, it would make the music develop in a different way. So yeah, I'm conscious of those things with the drums too, like you know, how much is being added and what that's going to result of that music.
I think when someone tends to not use enough space, it's either because they're insecure, you know, and that what they play, the little that they play, isn't going to be enough, you know, or they're insecure with their time, because often filling up the space, like doubling up, for instance, is a safe way to sort of stay in time. This goes especially if you're playing solo, you know. If you're playing solo piano, the tendency is to always have something that's telling you where this is. Took me years to realize you don't have to do that. You just have to feel it confidently internally, and then you can leave space. But that goes with playing with a group, though. I mean, just listen to Miles Davis. I mean, it's cliche to say, but you know, Miles Davis, Ahmad Jamal, you know,
Count Basie,
yeah, yeah,
Lester Young.
Bass. I mean, these are all people with beautiful sounds. Jim Hall,
Lee Konitz,
beautiful sounds. So the more beautiful your sound is, the less you can play, you know, and your ideas are solid, then you can play less. And you're listening not only to yourself, but to the group. That's the other thing I find. If people are playing a lot of notes, sometimes it means that they're ignoring some of the other things that are coming from the other musicians, things that they could leave space for, to create more of a conversation, or to just be open to some ideas that are flowing in from the other players. Having said that, I mean, like Bill noted, it's like some of my favorite players are also, I mean, Coltrane in much of his career, played a lot of notes. But he could play a ballad. He could play the hell out of a ballad. And of course he allowed space. He allowed for his band to stretch out, but I think that's, and as someone who, and I do things like in a non-jazz context, like some studio work that isn't, that's all about less is more. And that also has taken me a long time to remember that. And I think those lessons that I learned in some of those contexts definitely apply to any context, that less is usually the better choice, but that depends on your choices. If there's
sometimes less is less, though.
Sometimes less is less.
The thing is, I mean, I think you have to. It's easy to, like you say, it's a cliche to talk about Miles and Ahmad, very like egregious uses of space, like very like extreme uses of space. And you could also listen to people that you say like Coltrane that are dense. Bird, there's a lot of density there, but they're still dealing with space. With Bird, it's all about the space between the phrases and how he's kind of like so many different ways of coming at the bar line. So he's dealing with space, even though he's playing in a dense way. I think a real thing with players is like really listening to yourself play. Like play something and don't just think at the beginning of the phrase, I'm going to execute this. It's more just like play something and then hear what you just played. If you take a moment to actually listen to what you play, in that space, you think of a next thing to play, as opposed to the next space being like, oh, now I have to play this because it's D7. So that's the thing. But I mean, like, about it's really important, and force yourself to just like keep the form and not play certain things. Just leave certain holes. Just it's awkward and you're self-conscious doing it at first, of course, but you just experimenting with, let me just, instead of playing something, I will exercise my right to play nothing. And it still has to be notated, like I was saying, like it has to be, you have to account for all the time that you don't play also, if you're notating. These are rests. Use more rests. I'm going to put a big fat rest here, and then you don't play anything. There you go. I mean, just force yourself to use it as a tool. That's what it is.